All right, good evening, folks. Welcome to the Ox Billiards stream. This is Zach Ross in the booth. Tonight's matchup, we have Andy Sewrey versus Rob Blanding. Playing 8-ball, race to 7. They are playing winner break, rack your own, using the wood triangle for the rack. Rob won the lag here, so he'll be breaking off first. All right, Rob breaking straight on. That's my preferred break here as well, an 8-ball. You typically get a pretty good spread. However, that 2 decided to hang, so Andy will have the first open shot here. Based on his first opener, I kind of like solids first. The only problem ball in that regard is the 3 at the moment. But you could bump that out by making the 4. I like him getting under the 5 after this 2. Yep, just like this. So he's going to go after the 6 now. I think that's an okay choice. However, his leave for the 1 and the 4 is a bit touchier because you do have to basically fade the cue ball underneath the 13. Yeah, so he tried to slow roll and hold there for shape. But he does end up blocking Rob's stripe, so the run out is not as easy for Rob now. I think taking the 13 in the top left corner with follow here would be a good choice. You may bump that 10 just a little bit. All right, I was able to avoid bumping completely. I actually like him trying to stop shot on the 15 here. Going for the 3 now. Okay, yeah. Playing a safe, playing a containing shot here. Andy does have the 5 in the upper right corner. overcut it just a little bit. He did land on his solids pretty decently. The 4-3 combo was a bit difficult, but at least he got back to the right side of the table. Now, Rob is either going to bump this 15 or avoid it. All right, I like taking this 1 in the side pocket and hitting it with follow so that he can actually go for the 5. I think leaving the 5 ball later in the rack, it's not going to really enable him for the run out. So the quicker he can get to that 5, then use the 4 or the 1 to assist in breaking out the 6. So this is a good shot. Allowed him to get up there, but not quite the right angle on the 5. And if he tries to draw off of this 1 into the lower left corner, the cue ball has an opportunity to scratch in that side pocket. So just something he needs to be careful about. Because even if it sort of flicks off of that 15 cue ball, maybe tracking in that direction. So, yeah, just needs to be careful here. Looks like he's going to hit it with follow. So a little friendly bump off the 14. This is what I was talking about earlier when you leave the 5 last. There is one angle he could get where if he makes the 5 in the top right corner but has the cue ball come off that top short rail with some inside right, he could have the cue ball bump into the 12. But yeah, playing a little bit of a containing safe here. Oh, he actually, okay, he was going to go 3 rails around into that bottom right corner. So Rob wanted to manufacture a little bit of an angle there to break out this cluster. I think when he hit that ball, he ended up raising his cue a little bit, so the line that he hit may have just been a little bit off, causing the 14 to rattle. Catches both jaws on the 10 there. All right, so this is a pretty decent angle for Andy. Should he try to break out the 6 with this shot? He could put about probably like 1 or 2 o'clock, top right, thins the 5, cue ball catches the top rail, catches the right spin. I think in this instance just wanted to get back down table for the 4. So Rob doing a good job of breaking that out. However, because he still has a few balls left on the table, I think it would have been better to use maybe the 11 to break that out. I think the 11 might have just barely passed. But it's a good shot here. Looks like he has an opportunity to run this out. Just to make sure that cue ball falls on the upper side of this 8. So he takes the 11. He decides to go 12 first. So probably 12, 9, 11. Unless he feels comfortable, yeah, spinning this out, then he could take the 9. Okay, the 8 ball must pass the 6 in the lower right, so good chance here for Rob to get on the board first. Just a friendly little brush on that 6, and Rob takes his first rack, race to 7. Let me know in the chat what you think the score line of this match will be, who you're rooting for. All right, another pretty decent break here from Rob, but no balls have dropped. We do have a bit of a cluster here in the middle. I think opening set-wise, stripes looks a little bit better. The only kind of problem balls are the 12 and the 14 currently. But he has solved one of those problems. Not quite sure if he has the angle for the 14 to take it in the side pocket, so Probably leave that one alone for now. It does, however, look like it goes in the lower left corner, just barely by the 8, so can work his way up table now. Take the 12, 15. It's a nice shot. Okay, so he really wants to go after this 14 now. I think it's good as long as he can kind of bump that 8 out just slightly. Yeah, just like that. That's a nice shot. Okay, depends how adventurous he wants to be here. If he back cuts this 15 into the side pocket, cue ball will be tracking towards the inside of that 6, so he may not be getting the best leave. Otherwise, you take the 9 now. It's a little bit more difficult of a shot, but it kind of gives you better options to keep the cue ball in the middle of the table. So yeah, this would have been pretty good. You would have had the 15, a little bit steep of a cut on the 11, but doable. So good thinking from Andy there in terms of assessing the route. So I think if I'm Rob here, I go after the 6, bring the cue ball back middle table to give me better options. Looks like the 7 does not go by the 11 in the top right corner. So he will have to figure out how to get onto the right side of that 7 and maybe take it in the left side pocket. Three's not a bad idea either. You do want to leave 1 or 2 of these balls down here as your out ball onto the 8. I don't really like taking these ones out and then working back up table. I think I'd rather go up table sooner than later. I suppose, though, if you do have the 7 as your last shot, you get pretty good middle table position. So yeah, I think he's trying to figure out his way onto the 7. Call the 2 in the lower left corner. Has really good speed. Bumped the 1 just enough to where it's in good spot. All right, so if he hits this with follow, he could actually get onto the right side of the 7 now. Oh, he ended up sort of stunning across as opposed to following the tangent line. But he's looking at the 7 like it does go by. Oh, it goes. Okay. So good. He got to the spot he needed. Oh, but just missed. Yeah, he landed pretty good on the 6 as well. So, opportunity now for Andy. I like him taking the 15 now. Doesn't really have to do anything too fancy. It would be preferred to sort of take this 9 on with a little bit of a back cut. That way when you follow out, your cue ball lands between the 6 and the 7. You can take the 11 in the right pocket. This will be okay too. I would probably hit this with top left about 11 o'clock. so that it runs into this side rail and then goes side rail up to the short rail and lands between the 6-7. You kind of want to be on the upper side, but in this case, he's going to take the 11, come back across for the 9. Okay, that bump actually helped him out. Getting onto the 8 here is a little tricky. However, if he hits this with very top English, with a little bit of left follow, his cue ball will come out below the 7 and across the table. You'll probably be landing short side on the 8 in that case, but at least it gives him a decent look on the 8. Yeah, so he did put the spin on it, but it just wasn't enough to get around the 7. So now he's got a pretty narrow window here. If he has just enough of this right side of the 8, the way we're looking at it, he may actually be able to bank it into that top left corner where he's standing. I think that's what I would call. And then just leave the cue ball down here. So you hit it. A little bit of follow. And table speed on these tables is pretty good, so you actually don't really need to bank this speed-wise. You don't need to bank it very hard. As long as you hit it smooth here. Yeah, so really good job keeping the cue ball down here. Just didn't quite get enough angle on the 8. But really good effort. Okay, with all the balls open here and where the 8's currently at, don't really like playing safe. I think you just have to get out from here. So we bumped the 4. Yeah. Shaking his head a bit because it's not in the ideal position. Now, I think if I'm him, I actually make this 4 and I intentionally bump the 6. Normally, you wouldn't do that. But this is just sort of based on where the cue ball path is going. It's going to be really hard to hold, and yeah. So he did bump it, and this cut is a little steep. But if he hits this cut with just a little bit of left, cue ball will go 2.5 rails, and you should have a shot on the 8. It'll be a little long. Yeah, I think he just needed to hit it a little harder because of how thin it was. It would have taken that extra little rattle and probably dropped. But because he hit it smooth and just a little thin, didn't quite have the momentum there. Okay, so Andy is on the board. 1-1. Nice break from Andy here, pocketing the 3 in the lower right corner. So these sets are still open till the ball's pocketed after the break. And in his case, even though he made a solid, I don't mind taking stripes. He could go after the 5 into the lower left corner. It's a pretty long shot. I hit it with really good speed, just barely off on the angle. So yeah, if I'm Rob, I would take solids here. Looks like he's going to go 7, 4, and then work his way back up table. I think if he uses the 5 or the 1 as his out ball, that would be good. Okay, if he hits us with a little bit of top right, I think he will have to accept taking the 1 after this and then going 1, 6, 2, 5, 8, something like that. Okay, overran the 1 just a little bit. Yeah, he needs to figure out how to get... Well, he could actually just draw this back a little bit or roll forward just a tiny bit. Okay, yeah, he's going to go for the 1 now. If he can follow it enough and get to the right side of the 6, he could go 6, 2, 8. But it looks like he's going to draw back, which means he'll be going for the 6 next. He may consider taking the 2, playing a little bit of inside left to straighten that angle out. This is a good shot here. Nice job. Really good speed. Okay, the big question here. Which pocket does he take the 8 for? He can roll this forward just a little bit. Yeah, looking good. 8 in the lower left. Okay, really good table run from Rob here. So Andy making a ball on the break, but missing the 5 in the lower left. And Rob reading the run out, increasing his lead 2-1, going into rack number 4. Thank you all for joining me this evening. My name is Zach Ross, in the booth here at Ox Billiards. Let me know where you are tuning in from. Let me know who you've got in this match. They are using the wood triangle rack to make things a little more interesting, a little less predictable. I think I tend to prefer the triangle on 8-ball anyway. It's a little difficult to get them to sort of have a good spread and good momentum with the magic rack. So yeah, using the triangle here. Rob is not breaking direct center. I think he saw Andy break and make one on the break, which is this off-center break. And lo and behold, he's got one himself, so solids look a little bit better currently. You make the 1, you make the 7, you make the 4. That opens up the 2, 3, 5 down table. So run this with a little bit of follow, come off this side rail here, or you can stun, but kind of like the follow. Kind of followed it almost too much, but he landed in a decent spot here. He could try to draw underneath the 12 to get to the 4, but he's going to take the safe bet here. Just roll forward. Looks like the 5 might pass between the 4 and the 13. And if that's the case, he's looking pretty good. Yeah, nice shot. I actually don't mind him coming straight across and leaving the cue ball pretty much where the 4 is. And that way he can take the 3 in the left side pocket. But he came above. He almost put himself in jail. Somehow found the window. Now with the 3, I think you have to bank the 3 in the top left corner. And what you could do is you could call safety. So you call safety, you make the 3, and you basically just bury the cue ball kind of right where the 10 is. Yeah. Or just play safe. I think this is okay. Andy does have a look at the 12. I think one of the most underutilized shots in 8-ball is calling safety and making your ball and just kind of either leaving the cue ball long or hiding it behind another object ball. Because in typical rotation play, such as 9-ball or 10-ball, you cannot call safety and make a ball and relinquish the rack to your opponent. You have to continue shooting. Okay, back cut on this 15. cue ball will likely come below the pile here. So he may have a look on the 13. Yeah, just ended up overcutting it. Pretty thin shot on the 3 here. But if I'm Rob, I hit this sort of soft with a right spin. And then just try to get as much angle as I can on the 2. And then you make the 2 afterwards. Just needs to hit this real soft. Okay, well, he freed the 8 ball up. But now does not have a look on either ball. So I think kicking for the 2 here is probably better. You do have an opportunity to free it out from the pile. Well, he made the 2, but hit the stripes first, so ball in hand here for Andy. So going back to that safety move I had mentioned, what you could do is pocket this 10 and stop shot the cue ball, but you call safety. So your 10 goes down, but then Rob has to come back and shoot. So it's one way to sort of dissect a rack while also getting ball in hand opportunities, as opposed to trying to figure out the entire rack in this moment. These balls obviously do have pockets. 10 and the 12 both go in the left corner. Getting onto this 8, I think the best chance you have is getting back down table. So if you just force follow this up to the short rail and back down. Okay, so he's able to get on the right side. Yeah, that would have been pretty good. Unfortunately, he missed. He also kind of rearranged the furniture a little bit here. So I think Andy was maybe put a little bit of spin on that. Maybe a little too worried about the leave. So Rob with a really nice shot. Cut that all the way down table. Left himself good for the 8. Ooh, just misjudged the angle. Okay, he overran a bit, but he is middle table, so his options are pretty open here. I like drawing this straight back. Taking the 9 in the upper left corner. Oh, so he... Looks like he put maybe just a tad bit of bottom left, maybe inadvertently. Ooh, nice, but he recovers nicely. I don't mind hitting this with bottom right to go into the rail and back up table and taking the 8 in the right side pocket. Otherwise, you're going to be going back and forth, and you need to go basically 2.25 rails here. If you do that, otherwise you land on the short side here. Certainly doable, but something to keep in mind in terms of cue ball path and layout. Oh, just barely misses it. Leaves the cue ball in a pretty decent spot. This is not a gimme, but it is an open shot, so Rob with a chance to make this a 3-1 game. Well handled there. Stayed down, struck the cue ball nice. All right, 3-1 Rob going into rack number 5. Okay, Rob switching his break up for the 3rd time here. Break was kind of hit almost between the first and second balls. It's kind of based how the cue ball kind of rolled into the corner here. He make one on the break, but doesn't have the best cue ball leave. I think if you do the second ball break, kind of need to hit below center on the cue and then sort of drive that cue ball into the second ball and then have that cue ball bounce off of the side long rail to come back middle table. But it struck that nice. It's going to have to go after the 11 now. You take the 11 and then the 15 in the lower left corner here. He fell under it, so lucky for him. In 8-ball, you typically have more options, so could back cut the 15, but kind of like going after the 9. There's a nice shot. Friendly bump, getting a position for the 10. This he just wants to make sure that he finds the window between the 4 and the 7 to get back to the middle part of the table. The last thing you want to do is bump the 7 and sort of be stuck behind. So I think with the sort of cut angle here, you could almost just hit it with straight top. Follow the cue ball into the short rail and back up table. Just between that 4 and 7. So yeah, found the window nice. Overran just a little bit, but he takes his 15, comes back across table, or hits his 12 with draw. Then he can take the 14 in the top right. The only issue at the moment is where the 8-ball is sitting. So if he does want to take the 14 last, it would give him a little bit of a look on a back cut on the 8 into the lower right. He does go for the 1 in the side pocket. Yeah, I don't think he should take that now. I kind of like him playing safe here, hiding the cue ball behind the 4-5. I just hit it a little too hard. Still not the best leave. Rob may be able to thin cut this into the corner. Which would then give him a pretty decent look at the 12 in the lower right. That's a nice shot. Okay, yeah. Now's your chance to get out here. Cue ball will be coming about 1.5 rails. Ooh. And he even got the friendly bump on the 2. That was a really nice try there. Just barely overcut that. So I think what I do here, if I'm Andy, I play safe, but you hit the 4 into the 5, and you bring the cue ball to the bottom rail, and you try to freeze the cue ball onto the rail there. That way you're kind of blocked with the 7, and you're forcing Rob to hit the 12, which then might bump the 8 out. So playing safe here, definitely the right call. And speed control, because you're hitting the 4 thin, is pretty important. So he's going to use the 7, but I feel like breaking that cluster out. You know, I don't think he quite got the safe on the 14. I think Rob has a little bit of a pathway here. It's pretty narrow, and it is rather straight, so following into that pocket looms pretty large. Yeah, so because he didn't break this out, this shot here is a bit more difficult. Now the 4 is bumped the 1 out. The 12 becomes a bit easier to get onto. So if Rob cuts this up table with follow, he should land on the 12 pretty good. Very smooth hit. Maybe just underhit it a little bit with the speed. I think he was maybe trying to kind of flow and hold there, but go a little bit harder with that speed. That cue ball hits that second rail and bounces out just a little bit more. But the back cut here is not terrible. The only problem is that he will be on the top side of the 8, and it currently does not go by the 6. So see, he might just... That was actually really sweet. I like how he played that. I was curious how he's going to get below the 8. So a good effort there. So I think Andy needs to attack here. I think he should take the 7 on the side. Play it with a little bit of inside right. I think, okay, he's going to take the 4. I think this is okay as long as he makes it. Otherwise, you're giving up a pretty open shot here. Okay, good speed. Definitely, all right, they're shooting the 5 or the 7. I don't mind shooting the 5 now. That way, if you get middle table and you have an opportunity to take the 6, you definitely should. Even though it frees up the 8, I think trying to land on the rail to shoot the 6 down after making the 2 of the 1, I guess is an option, but you will be further away. I like going 2-1-7. If you leave yourself on the top side of the 7, like middle table, you could hit with bottom left, make the 7 on the side. Cue ball comes down to the short rail and then runs into the 5-6. Try and break that out. You may consider playing safe here. However, because that 12 is kind of buried in the pocket, he'll be leaving Rob a kick into that. And just the way that it's sort of hanging, I don't really see the cue ball following with that kick. Problem with taking the 7 now, though, is that you don't really have an opportunity to break out the 5-6 after you make the 2. Okay, so that was interesting. Really tried to break it out there. He almost got enough spin on it, too. But it may be good that he he didn't quite get there, because now the 8, I think Rob is just going to have to bank into the side pocket. Oh, we called the top left corner. Okay. Don't think he quite liked the angle for the banking to the side. I think if you drill it with bottom, though, you'd be able to sharpen that angle up, and it would have gone clean. But maybe erring on the side of caution here. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, I think if I'm Andy, I call the combo. Take the 5 now. Just want to make sure that your cue ball does not end up middle table. Yeah, because left an angle for Rob here. If you would have managed to get to the cue ball to the left third or left quarter of the table, would have removed that angle. Caught it just a little too thick. I don't mind hitting the 5 thin here and actually trying to bring it 2 rails. Yeah, unfortunately, he's left a shot. So if you hit the 5 really thin and you have it go just off of this long rail, and then it kind of drags along the short rail here, and as long as you can get the cue ball sort of to this left rail. The back cut would not have been in play on the 8. It does look like Rob may actually need to jump this just a little bit. Yeah, it looks like he has to jump maybe a quarter of that 6. Yeah, ends up catching the 6. Good opportunity for Andy here. Just needs to go 6-5-2 and he's out. It's going to be important to not give himself too sharp of an angle on the 5. Yeah, this is good. I think I'd probably just play this with straight follow. You can draw this out. It's looking good. Don't need to do anything fancy here. Just roll up on this. Could stop shot it if you want. Just make sure you strike it clean. Okay, 2-3. Andy takes one back. Going into rack number 6. Stay tuned. Yeah, I got a good spread here, but unfortunately no love with the break, so none of the balls have dropped. Rob with choices here. I think stripes are just a tad better. The 7 was kind of the only ball that is making me not choose solids here. I wouldn't mind taking the 15 in the lower left corner, hitting it with a little bit of follow. Maybe not. Yeah. I like taking, yeah, 9's probably a better approach, gives you a bit more options. 11 to the top left corner. Yeah, if he does a little bit of a stop shot, you'll have a better look at that 13. If Andy hits this 3 with bottom left, he may be able to bring the cue ball into the short rail and bump the 7 out. That would be ideal. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, made it a little bit worse, which sucks because it was a good look. I guess if you can see a piece of that too, you can try and cut it up rail, but don't think he can. I think maybe just rolling up onto the 1 and leaving the cue ball up table is a good option. Definitely don't want to hit the 1 too hard where it comes back and sort of freezes to the 4. It was a nice try. Rob's run out has become a little more difficult now that the 7 is blocking the 12. Okay, 11 into the corner here. What a shot. Wow. That was sick. Okay, he wants to give himself enough angle on the 10. So, to be able to draw off of it. Oh, no. Okay, he wanted to play down for the 15. I think there's something I'm starting to notice a little bit with Rob's stroke when he is sort of wanting to manufacture an angle, his stroke kind of dips a bit as he follows through on the shot, which I think causes the impact point on the cue to be slightly adrift. In that example, he actually kind of had a little bit of body English at the end of the stroke there when he hit the 10. Okay, Andy needs to figure out what his route is to the 2. So we could make this 1 in the top right corner, come back out, maybe middle table, a third of the left side of the table for the 4. And he just barely missing the lines. This would have been good. He would have fell on top of the 2 after the 4, and then take the 6 in the lower right probably. Now Rob's going to go 10 in the lower left, hit it with some follow. Barely gets around the 6. So he'll be able to make this 14, but he's not going to be able to hold for the 15. So I think you just need to hit this with a lot of pace. And he hit it real nice. Doesn't want to land flat here. Okay, it's a little bit of an angle. You may actually be able to hit this with just a tad bit of bottom left, which will allow the cue ball to come off of that short rail, give himself a little bit better of an angle on the 8, which he can then take in the right side pocket. If he wants to follow it, he could also do that with a little bit of top left, because I believe he has just enough angle to come off of that short rail. A little bit of a dealer's choice here. So he punched it with a lot. Got quite a bit of action off of that rail, but because he was hitting it with so much pace, when you catch the angle just a little bit wrong, causes the ball to rattle. And he would not have liked the leave anyway because he's blocked by the 6. So Andy should take the 2. And then depending on how he lands, he could consider a 4-1 combo. But he landed good, so just take the 1 now. Okay, I like this. He can now hit this 4 with just a little bit of left. Go 2 rails. Give himself sort of a steep cut onto the 6, but it's kind of the only option you have here. This shot is all about hitting it smooth. You don't really need to hit it hard. Cloth takes really nice. Yeah, he's been overcutting quite a bit tonight. Which honestly is good. If you are going to miss, you typically do want to be overcutting. All right, Rob accepting the long shot here, going for the top right corner. Misjudged that one a bit. Side pocket scratch looms pretty large here if you don't get enough bottom right on the 6. Because you needed to hit into that rail and then go above the side pocket. Otherwise, you could sort of just go back and forth and accept a steeper look at the 4. You may consider banking that 4 now, but the possibility of selling out is pretty high. So I think shooting the 6 now is the right shot. You could even go back and forth here. Basically, hit this with just a tad of top right. Just barely enough for it to not take on the first rail, but by the time it hits the second rail, it widens. Then you may have an opportunity to take the 4 in the upper right corner. That's kind of what he's looking at. You just want to be aware of the side pocket. So not too much right here. I think he just needed to hit it with a bit more pace. Now Rob definitely going to go for the bank. It's almost a perfect V. So you can stop shot this. Ooh, and it rattles. Okay. Big opportunity here for Andy. What I would do is go rail first with a bunch of left. You spin the 6 in. Cue ball goes bottom rail, right rail, back up table to the left side of the 4. If you hit this straight on, it's going to be really difficult to get into that position. Alternatively, you could hit this almost on the right side of the 6 with a ton of draw and hope that you get enough action off. So it looks like that's what he may have tried doing, but because he caught the 6 and the cue ball went into the rail, ends up where he's at currently. So this is kind of a do or die here. There's really nowhere to hide the cue ball. This will be a pretty sweet victory shot, though, if he can drill this 4 in the corner. Oh, and he somehow overcut that one, too. Man, the overcuts tonight. All right, Rob Blanding taking rack number 6. Currently up 4-2. Okay, the pool gods have not been too kind. Another dry break here. This time, really, the only problem out here is stripes with the 9 and the 14. Getting onto the 1. If you were to take solids, a little touchy, but there is a path there. I don't really mind going after stripes. That combo is not the most difficult combo to take on. Making this 10 ball, though, you just want to be sure you have a shot on the next stripe. So either hitting this with a little bit of inside right to come off the short rail to straighten that angle out to come back out. So this one he just struck with a little too much power. A nice bump there. Rob needs to decide how he's going to get onto the 11. Well, he landed a little too close to the 5, so he's going to have to take on the combo now. Didn't quite get enough cut angle on that 9, but he freed it up, and he didn't quite sell out a shot here for Andy. Andy can shoot the 7 in the top right corner just past the 12, or take the 2 in the side pocket. I think those are the two options I go for. Taking the 7 allows you to be on the up side of the table. And just hit that one a little too straight on. Rob might be able to cut the 13 in the side pocket. It's a little steep. That way the cue ball would sort of flow either between the 7-1 or up above it, come out and around. Okay, he caught it so thin the cue ball really didn't take much action off the rail at all. He does have a look. I believe he has a look on the 9. Camera angle a little deceiving here. Okay, friendly bump. Yeah, take the 12 in the top right. If you hit this with follow, oh, he's going to draw. So he wants to come back down for the 14. It's a nice shot. Yeah, this way you can just roll up, get out to about third third middle table here if we're looking at it in vertical ways. Doesn't want to get stuck behind the 3, though. Well, unless he has Fedor Gorst's jump abilities, he will probably be having a kick at this one. It's a tricky kick. You need to swing around the 7. So just hit this with left. Yeah. Nice. It's going to hit a rail. And boop. Nice. Nice contact. Okay, Andy has some work to do here now. Based on how this is laid out, I just start attacking. Take the 5 in the side. Shoot the 1. Maybe the 7. And then the 6. Shoot the 3, come back across for the 2 or the 4. So yeah, he's got options. Could take the 6 now. Kind of like having the 6 there so I can make it in the side. Which then if I want to do a stop shot, I can shoot the 2 in the lower right. Just think using the 6 to get back to the bottom part of the table is a bit more advantageous, but he has options, so yeah, his shooting line is just barely off. This is weird because you have to back cut the 11, but because the angle you have here, if this ball was a little bit more middle table, it'd probably be easier, but because he's kind of steep on this, manufacturing the back cut bank is tricky. All right, so Andy still needing to go to work here. I would definitely shoot the 7. Shoot the 7 and the 6. I guess going after the 2, he's probably thinking that he won't leave Rob a shot on the 11. It's a little too much power into that pocket. So Rob here is set up pretty good. Shoot the 11 down the rail. Come straight across table. Take the 8 in the same pocket. Yeah, he hit it nice. The cue ball floated a little bit more than he wanted. To prevent that from happening, if you put just a little bit of top right, the cue ball would take off of the rail more parallel across the table. Still has an opportunity for the cut. I do not see the cue ball scratching here, so just needs to make sure he finds the line. Can probably just hit this with middle ball. Tangent line lands maybe at that 3rd diamond just before the side pocket there. Okay, really nice cut here. Rob up 5-2. All right, Rob breaking off rack number 8. Has gone back to the middle table after trying out various spots here. Gets a pretty good spread, but dry again. I think the thing with the center ball break, you do need to hit it with a little more force. Hey, Rob Thomas in the chat. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. All right, Andy going for the 9, lower right corner. Missing the angle. I like solids here. If Rob can reach for this 6 and feel comfortable doing so, I think it's a nice shot. Plays a little bit of follow. He could get onto the 2. 4 goes in the lower left corner currently, so 6-2, working your way back up middle table. Oh, well, he hit the stripe first, but none of the balls are down, so it is not a foul. Well, with this new layout here, I like Andy going after stripes. Just straight up following this ball to the side pocket, then take 13 in the right side pocket. As long as you hit straight top, like almost maximum top here, you actually don't need to hit this very hard. A lot of that cue ball momentum will just follow straight up table. So this one's more about making sure you're imparting the spin, just like that. Yeah, and even then he put a little too much oomph into the hit. He came out way higher, but he does have the 10 in the right side pocket. So all's well that ends well. The trickiest leave is going to be making the 15 and leaving himself just enough angle. Yeah, he's looking at it now. I would not look at it now. You have 3 balls that can all go in the same pocket here on the side, so I think I would focus on that first, and then getting to this 15 position. So problem with doing this is that he's... Okay, he handled it well. Good cue ball control. Now that he has a little bit of an angle here, he could just put a touch of bottom right. Give himself a better angle on that 9 to go in the same pocket. And then depending on how the angle that he has, getting onto that 15 better. Nice shot. This is good. It's actually better that he got more angle here, because now he can shoot the 9 with top, and the cue ball can come across the table. The only thing he does not want to do is land on a back cut for the 15. Because if he has to back cut the 15, his chances of getting onto the 14 are a lot more slim. So just hit this with a, call it like a medium pace here. Soft medium hit. Follow into the rail. Come back out across the middle. Yeah, so he landed on the back cut side. could make this in the tangent line if you kind of stun off of this cut. Tangent line actually runs straight into the 14, so you could bump the 14 out. Yep. Nice. Really good recovery. Okay. Now he just needs to do kind of what he did with the 9. Come back out to this exact position and take the 8 on the side. So he's looking pretty good here. All right, Andy looking good. Even if he bumps the 7, he's totally fine. Oh, but he overcut it. Okay, I think this is the first time in the match where we've seen Andy on the 8 and Rob needing to run out to the 8 with this many balls on the table. So, gonna get to work here. I think taking the 6 right now would be good. That way he brings him down table to shoot the 2. Because you can always make that 1 and come out 2 rails for the 8. So I think leaving the 1 or the 3 as your last ball is good here. But yeah, the 7 and the 4 are a tad tricky. Because when he makes this 2, if you go 2, 4, 3, 7, 1, you could be good. You could also go for the 7 now, I suppose. I mean, I don't really like shooting past the side pocket. So, yeah, I like this better. 4, 4, 3, 7. Overran it just a little bit. But you could stun down in the short rail and back out. Or just kind of float cut. So cut the 3, land straight below the 7, and then take the 7 in the upper left, which is the option he has chosen. And he left himself an angle, which is ideal, because now he can actually roll the cue ball off of this rail and come out a little bit more for the 1. Excellent shot. Okay. He's going to draw here. Excellent. Ooh. Brushed the corner ever so slightly there, but he is out, and he is up 6-2 over Andy. Andy unfortunately just missing that 8 ball in the side pocket, which enabled Rob's run out. The thing with 8 ball 2 with an open table, pretty dangerous. Okay, so Rob on the hill here. Set to break off rack number 9. A dry break, but it's not the worst considering the cue ball is at the very top of the table. I like going after solids here. Solids are pretty much wide open. In fact, all the solids have spread out, except for the 7. So, interesting rack here. I think I'm Andy, take the 1 inside. Just make sure that you take solids. Because if you miss here, the run out for solids is very wide open. Could be trouble. Unless the cue ball doesn't quite go by to get the 1. Yeah, the 5 in the side there is a choice. It's a pretty steep cut, but it's doable. Just needs to hit it soft. Yeah, unfortunately. I think Rob is going to be pretty happy being able to come to the table and take solids. I'd probably call it the 6-5 combo here. Oh, don't take stripes. Don't do it. No. No. No, 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 no. Solids. All right, Rob deciding to play hard mode here. Navigating the rack pretty well so far. Clusters around the 8 are going to be a little tough to navigate. He may consider making this 15 and just kind of not blasting, but definitely hitting the cue ball. Okay. Ends up controlling it. I was going to say hit that 8 into the 9 to kind of get the 9 out a little bit more. But now he can take the 15 in the upper left. And with enough angle, he shoots the 11 in the right side pocket. Cue ball hits into the 9 and the 14. Kind of moves those out of the way. So yeah, hit that one a little too thick. But it's near the side pocket, which is ideal. Hit that nice. Has just enough of a look on the 7. Looks like the 11 might go in the lower right corner. He's going to have to hit this with a little bit of top right. Yeah, it came out a little wider than he wanted. Nice attempt. Did not have too many options there. Andy has an open set here. I like going 7, 4, 6. Then depending on where you land, either taking the 3 or the 1. I like to have the 2 as my out ball. Gives you the best position for the 8. Well, now he should shoot the 1. And he may consider the 4 as his out ball. Caught it too thick. And I think he has left Rob a cut on the 11 in the lower left. Which he may actually be able to sort of come off the short rail and shave the 9 to give himself a look on that. Yeah, ends up hitting the 8, but he freed it, so... End up blocking the pocket for the 4. So Andy could shoot this in the top left. Maybe drag draw this down to give himself a look at the 4 in the lower right. And just hit it too thick. So earlier in the match, he was over slicing, and now he's undercutting, so not quite finding the line. Okay, Rob make the 11 in the lower left corner. Bring the cue ball out. Maybe to where the head of the bridge is. Should be okay. Can draw off of this 9 into the rail here. And take the 8 in the side. So he stretched out just a little bit. Just focus on potting this ball. Ooh. Went for the soft stop shot. And he overcut it. So Andy's still alive here. Takes his 4 in the lower left, just needs to hit it with follow to make sure he gets back up middle table. Does not want to leave himself a long shot that's unnecessary. There you go. Probably shoot 3 now. Give myself 2 options depending on where I land. I think you're taking the 6, you cut across. You're very limited now. Yeah, so he's able to draw off of it a little bit, but now this angle on the 3 is a little steeper. And if he misses this, he is selling out the 8. Oof. Okay. Now he needs to hit this soft because he needs to stay above the 8. Take the 8 in the lower right corner. Okay, cutting all the way down here. Don't see a risk of a scratch as long as he plays this with a little bit of right to make sure when it comes off the rail, it does not go directly across to the other side pocket. Okay, nice job, Andy. Taking that rack back. 3 to 6, going into rack number 10. Bit more force on the break there. Ends up scratching in the lower right corner. Pretty good spread on the balls here. I think my initial inkling here is to take solids. Start with the 3 ball. Oh, no, you don't even need to start with the 3. You go 4-2. And then you could shoot 3. Yeah, starting with a 3, not the worst choice. If he can manage to stop shot this here. Get a little bit of an angle on the 4. He's going to be arched over the 6 just a little bit, but it should be okay. Just hit it rail first.